Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and this is the To Die For tag. So that footage you just saw is from a little hike I took earlier this morning before it got too hot, and it has been very, very hot here in the Northeast. I'm in Connecticut. And I'll attach a little bit more footage from my walk at the end of the video in case anybody likes that sort of thing. Now, the To Die For tag was created by Peter the Book Lover. Unfortunately, at the time that I'm filming this, the original video was unavailable, but I have seen this video, or this tag, going around to various booktubers that I subscribe to. And as you can see by the empty shelves behind me, my books are presently, almost all of them, packed up right now. We are expected to move within the next few weeks. So I've already cleared out, almost the entirety of my library. There's just a few books that are still laying around. Being a booktuber, I don't have a lot of books at hand for myself right now. And I don't have an e-reader either. I did leave myself a little pile of things to read. Our closing date was supposed to be sooner, but then it got pushed back. So I'm going to be without a library longer than I expected to be. But when I saw this tag going around, I thought, well, this tag is all about books that we want to buy and that we don't own. So I thought that is perfect for the kind of video that I can make right now. So that's what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 5 books. And what I did, I went through my Amazon wish list, or I kind of go into my cart and things that I save for later. And books that are constantly catching my eye that I almost buy, but then I don't, for reasons, and I'll kind of get into each of them. For most of the reasons, it's just because of cost. Anticipating a move, I'm not really buying a lot of books right now, and also most of the books I'm going to be talking about are more expensive. They're upwards of 30, 40, if not more dollars. So that's one of the main reasons I haven't pulled the trigger on many of them, with at least one exception throughout this. So let's begin. I'll talk about 5 that I keep almost buying and ordering, and then for whatever reason don't. But they're all books that hopefully within the next year I'll end up getting. I'm not talking about books that I want, but that are, I don't see myself getting anytime soon. There are certainly many folio editions that I would consider within that category. So yes, I'd love a lot of folio editions, but I just don't have the money at all to spend on that, so I don't concern myself with them. But these are all things that are within reach, but just a little bit beyond it. Okay, so the first one is Gothic, an Illustrated History by Roger Luckhurst. And this is a book that just came out last year by Princeton University Press. And I'll have an image on the screen here, but I'll just read some of the promotional material here. It says, the word Gothic conjures associations with the dark and melancholy, the weird and feared, and haunted places and people. In Gothic, Roger Luckhurst offers readers an unprecedented look at the ways this uncanny style has manifested itself through architecture, literature, film, art, video games, and more. From the works of Victor Hugo and E.T.A. Hoffmann to Southern Gothic, ancient folklore, and classic horror movies, Luckhurst explores how an aesthetic that began in the margins has been reinvented through the centuries to become part of mainstream global culture. Now, I've been looking for a good Gothic history. I had read one earlier this year that was pretty middling, kind of meh for me. This one looks really promising, especially the fact that it's illustrated, Princeton University Press. It's one that I definitely want to get. Pausing the video for a second, my daughter walked in to show me her art from art camp. The space was themed, so she has her space helmet and her rocket ship. Well, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
So, continuing on, the next book I'm going to talk about is, of course, understandably of a morbid quality. It does have to do with death, but it's not because I'm a morbid person. It is because I am interested in horror studies. And for me, an essential aspect of understanding horror is understanding our fear of death and our relationship with death. So that's why I want to pick up Death, a Graveside Companion by Johanna Ebenstein. This was put out by Thames and Hudson Publishing in 2017. And I'll also read the promotional material on this one too. A volume of unprecedented breadth and sinister beauty, Death, a Graveside Companion examines a staggering range of cultural attitudes towards death. The book is organized into theme chapters. Each chapter begins with thought-provoking articles by curators, academics, and journalists, followed by gallery spreads presenting a breathtaking variety of death-related imagery and artifacts, from skulls to the dance of death, statuettes to ex libris, memento mori to memorabilia. The majority of the images are artifacts in the astonishing collection of Richard Harris and range from 2000 BCE to the present day, running the gamut of both high and popular culture. So both this book and the last one I had spoken of, they're fairly recent publications, and I would pick them up, but it's just the price tag is just a little bit too much for what I'm willing to spend on one book right now, at least. Maybe when I'm settled into the new place for the library, I'll be able to pull the trigger on more of these things. But at least, you know, that's my reason for not picking these two up yet. The next book is cheaper, and it's one that I should have picked up a long time ago, and I just haven't yet, just because I haven't been ready to read it yet, but I really want to. And that is The Conquering Sword of Conan. It is the third book that Random House collected in the stories that Robert E. Howard wrote of the Conan the Cimmerian or Conan the Barbarian character. I love the first two volumes. I just never got to the third one, and I do plan to remedy that hopefully at some point soon. I do want to make that a priority. If I don't get to by the end of this year, it'll definitely be something I read next year. But it's just one that I just haven't picked up yet. I've had the first two volumes for years. I read them probably about 6 or 7 years ago, if not more, probably more than that, probably 10 years ago. And just didn't have the third one at the time. I think I picked up the first two books, and then the bookstore where I used to shop closed, unfortunately. It was a Borders bookstore before I picked up the third book, and I just haven't picked it up again yet. Just haven't ordered it, but I will. But that's my third book, The Conquering Sword of Conan, the third collection of Conan stories. And by the way, those collections are excellent. They're really good. There's often like notes, explanatory text. They're really good collections for reading Robert E. Howard's Conan works. The next book is The Viking Way, Magic and Mind in Late Iron Age Scandinavia by Neil Price. And this was put out by Oxbow Books in 2013. And this is really about Viking religion. I had read earlier this year, Children of Ash and Elm, Neil Price's single-volume history of the Vikings, and I thought it was excellent. I really liked it. He's an archaeologist, and I like that approach, the archaeological approach to the Vikings. And I believe this book here, The Viking Way, was actually his PhD dissertation. And I'll read some of the material on this. It says, magic, sorcery, and witchcraft are among the most common themes of the great medieval Icelandic sagas and poems, the problematic yet vital sources that provide our primary textual evidence for the Viking Age that they claim to describe. Yet despite the consistency of this picture, surprisingly little archaeological or historical research has been done to explore what this may really have meant to the men and women of the time. This book examines the evidence for the Old Norse sorcery, looking at its meaning and function, practice and practitioners, and the complicated constructions of gender and sexual identity with which these were underpinned. So really, I've read nothing but great reviews on it. An essential book at this point about Viking religion and their attitudes towards religion. So it's one that I want to pick up. Again, it's just a price tag issue. It's about a $50 book. So just haven't gotten it yet. But one that within the next year I hope to get. And the last one. The last one is a book that when I first saw about it, I said, yes, I need this. But I don't have an essential tool, or I should more specifically say weapon, with which to really benefit from it. So the book I'm talking about is self-published. It came out in 2017, but I've read really good reviews on it, and I'm excited for it. And it is called Cutting with the Medieval Sword, Theory and Application by Michael Edelson. And you'll be able to see by the cover that it is doesn't hold back from what swords did. Now, really, it's about, it's an explanation, and it's illustrated, and it's supposed to be a very, very good explanation for how to cut with a medieval longsword. And the reason I haven't picked this up yet is because I don't yet own a medieval longsword. I have some Viking swords. I have some, and I mean, I'm talking like, historically accurate replicas. I don't mean the historical pieces. I have, a Roman gladius, a Greek Xiphos. So I have different swords. I am a historical edged weapons enthusiast. I don't just collect random knives. I like the historical stuff. But I do not yet have a sharp, historically accurate, or at least close to that, longsword. I don't mind buying kind of more budget weapons for a lot of things, but there's a couple different swords that I want to make sure I get something really quality, and one of them is a longsword. And so when I do get that, maybe within the next few years, we got some, with buying a new house, we're going to have some big payments, but hopefully within the next few years, I'll be able to get a good longsword. And when I do, this is the book that I will immediately buy and start cutting things up in my backyard. Nothing scares the neighbors like that does. And that's it. Those are the 5 books that really stood out to me when I looked at my wish list of books that I've been kind of chomping at the bit to get, but for one reason or other just haven't gotten yet. But ones which I do hope to get in the near future. If you've read any of these, which is unlikely for some of them, I know that my interests tend to be very, very niche. So, I don't expect many people to have read a lot of these, although a few of them I do expect. I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. And once again, I'm going to just attach some footage from my hike earlier this morning. I had it was kind of a local park area, trails. I had them all to myself. There was nobody around at all. I was the only person there. It has been, we have had very little rain over the past 2 weeks, so you'll very easily be able to hear the grass crunching beneath my feet as I walk. But you'll also be able to hear, crickets, and you should be able to catch a couple of rabbits as well in the footage if you so choose to watch it. So anyway, as usual, thank you for watching, and especially thank you, BookTube.